Your words are not just sounds, they are signals. Every time you open your mouth, you're either commanding power or releasing weakness. Most people underestimate the impact of what they say. They talk about what's not working, what's missing, what's painful, and then they wonder why life keeps echoing those same struggles back to them. The truth is, your words frame your reality. When you speak with power, you set a tone that shifts the atmosphere around you. But when you speak in panic, you invite chaos to sit at your table. The difference between winners and warriors isn't talent, it's language. Winners speak from vision, warriors speak from circumstance. When you learn to control your words, you start to control your world. You can't speak defeat all week and expect victory to show up on Sunday. The mouth follows the mind, and the mind follows what you feed it. So if your words are weak, it's because your thoughts are starving. Feed your mind strength and your mouth will follow. You know, when pressure hits, the easiest thing to do is to let your emotions run your vocabulary. You start saying things like, I can't do this, it's too much, or nothing ever works for me. Those aren't words. Those are weapons turned against yourself. Every time you speak fear, you reinforce it. But every time you speak power, you rewrite your story. The world responds to confidence the way a seed responds to sunlight. It grows in its direction. Your words are the sunlight to your future. If you can't see the harvest yet, keep speaking growth until the ground gives in. You may not have everything you want right now, but your words can begin building the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Speak like a builder, not a beggar. You know, most people don't realize that words carry energy that shape emotion, and emotion shapes action. You can't talk failure all day and expect your actions to produce success. That's like planting weeds and expecting roses. You must align your speech with your purpose. Start saying what you want to see, not what you fear might happen. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this is making me stronger. Instead of saying, I'm losing, say, I'm learning. You shift the vibration of your life every time you shift your vocabulary. It's not about pretending things are perfect. It's about programming your mind for progress. When your words are filled with intention, they create momentum that can't be stopped by circumstance. You know, the problem is most people speak reactively, not strategically. They speak based on what they feel instead of what they believe. Feelings are temporary, but words have long-term power. That's why you must master the pause between emotion and expression. In that pause, you decide whether you're going to feed the problem or fuel the solution. When you're frustrated, stop before you speak. When you're afraid, breathe before you answer. The pause is where your power lives. Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. They go out into the atmosphere and start forming things, thought patterns, emotions, decisions. Words are construction workers of your destiny. You decide whether they build prisons or palaces. You know, there's a reason successful people talk differently. They use language that attracts possibility, not limitation. They don't say if, they say when. They don't say maybe, they say definitely. They don't say I hope, they say I will. That shift in tone creates a shift in energy, and energy attracts outcomes. You can't build a life of abundance with a vocabulary of lack. Speak wealth, speak discipline, speak confidence until your life aligns with your language. People might laugh at you, they might call it delusion, but what they don't understand is that faith and focus sound like delusion to the unfocused mind. You're not crazy for believing in yourself, you're committed. You know, the world around you may try to convince you that your words don't matter, but look at the patterns. Everything you've ever achieved started with a statement. I'm going to change. I'm not giving up. I'm worth more. Those weren't random sentences. There were declarations that shifted your identity. The most dangerous thing you could do is to stay silent when you need to speak power. Silence gives fear permission to stay. When you stop speaking belief, you start thinking doubt. So even when you don't feel strong, speak strength. Even when you don't see results, speak growth. Even when you feel lost, speak direction, because one day your words will catch up to your life. You can change your entire direction by changing your daily dialogue. Start your mornings with language that commands energy. Don't wake up saying, I'm tired. Wake up saying, I'm charged. Don't go to bed saying, I didn't do enough. Say, I did what I could, and tomorrow I'll do more. It's not about being fake. It's about being focused. Life doesn't respond to what you think about yourself. It responds to what you say about yourself. Your voice has power to activate or paralyze your purpose. The more you practice speaking power, the less panic controls you. And when you walk into a room, your energy introduces you before your mouth opens. But once it does open, your words either confirm your power or cancel it. Speak like someone who knows they were built for impact. Speak like someone who refuses to live beneath their potential. Speak like someone who understands that life bends in the direction of bold declaration. You don't have to shout to be powerful, but you do have to be intentional. Every sentence is a seed. Every conversation is an opportunity to build confidence or feed doubt. Train your tongue to follow your goals, not your emotions. You know, the world is full of noise, but your voice can still cut through if it carries conviction. Don't let your language be casual when your purpose is crucial. Every time you speak, you are branding your belief system. So, speak like a champion even when you're still climbing. Speak with authority even when you're still learning. Speak from vision, not from victimhood, because when your words rise, your life does too. Your focus determines your fight. Whatever holds your attention controls your direction. Most people lose battles not because they lack strength, but because they waste focus. They get distracted by noise, by opinions, by problems that don't even belong to them. Focus is the filter that separates what matters from what doesn't. The human mind is powerful, but it's also programmable. If you feed it confusion, it will create chaos. If you feed it clarity, it will create progress. The reason some people keep fighting the same battles is because they keep staring at the same distractions. You can't win a war while looking backward. You can't build forward momentum while paying attention to what drains your energy. Focus is the discipline of direction. It's choosing every single day to aim your energy where it matters most and to protect your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. You know, when your focus drifts, your fight weakens. Distraction is not just a thief of time, it's a destroyer of purpose. Every notification, every comparison, every unnecessary argument is designed to divide your energy. The world will always offer you something to react to, but you don't have to take the bait. Power doesn't come from reacting, it comes from remaining centered. When you learn to ignore what doesn't align with your goal, you begin to conserve the strength you need for the battles that matter. Focus doesn't mean you never notice distractions. It means you trained yourself not to obey them. The moment you give attention to what doesn't grow you, you're feeding weakness. Protecting your focus is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's the understanding that your future depends on how well you manage your attention today. You know, people talk about time management, but real success comes from attention management. You can have all the time in the world, but if your mind is scattered, you'll still end up exhausted with nothing to show for it. Every major breakthrough in your life will come from a moment of intense focus, not multitasking. The mind was not designed to chase 10 things at once. It was built to magnify whatever it focuses on. When you focus on fear, you multiply it. When you focus on opportunity, you attract it. When you focus on pain, you prolong it. Focus acts like a lens. Whatever you point it at becomes bigger. So when life feels overwhelming, check what you've been magnifying. Sometimes the problem isn't as big as your attention makes it. You know, most people don't lose because they're not capable. They lose because they're distracted by what doesn't contribute to their mission. Every dream requires a price, and the first payment is your focus. You can't chase your goals while scrolling through everyone else's highlight reel. You can't find clarity while your mind is cluttered with comparison. You can't hear your inner voice while listening to the noise of the crowd. The more you focus on what others are doing, the more you disconnect from what you're supposed to be doing. The moment you stop giving energy to what doesn't align with your purpose, everything begins to change. You start moving differently, thinking differently, speaking differently. Focus creates flow, and flow creates results. Every distraction looks harmless at first. It comes in the form of a message, a conversation, a habit, or a comfort zone. But distraction disguised as entertainment can quietly destroy your momentum. The battle isn't always between good and bad. It's often between good and great. You can't do everything, so you must decide what's worth doing. You can't be everywhere, so you must decide where you belong. The power of focus is the power of saying no to what looks appealing but doesn't move you forward. Greatness demands subtraction before it rewards addition. You must eliminate before you elevate. Every no you give to distraction is a yes you give to your destiny. Focus is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can focus for a moment, but champions sustain focus for a lifetime. That's why small habits matter more than big bursts of motivation. You can't fight strong if your focus is weak, and your focus weakens every time you start something you don't finish. Discipline sharpens focus. The more disciplined your mind becomes, the clearer your vision gets. You begin to recognize patterns. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and you stop being reactive to every situation. Focused people don't chase validation. They chase vision. They understand that not everything deserves their energy. Every fight isn't theirs to fight. When you're focused, peace becomes your power. You no longer rush, you no longer panic, and you no longer seek approval. You move with purpose because you're guided by clarity. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your mission. You stop seeking advice from people who've never built what you're building. You stop fighting for attention and start fighting for alignment. Focus simplifies your life. It eliminates confusion because it gives you a compass. You stop being busy and start being productive. You stop chasing everything that shines and start building what matters. There's something magnetic about a focused person. Their energy commands attention, not because they're loud, but because they're clear. You can feel it when someone knows exactly where they're going. Focused people have direction in their voice and conviction in their eyes. They don't waste words on gossip or arguments. They invest words in growth and vision. They walk differently because they think differently. They understand that their attention is their greatest currency, and they spend it wisely. When life hits hard, focus is what keeps you steady. Distractions scream louder. When you're close to breakthrough, that's how you know you're on the right path. The moment you start making progress, everything around you will compete for your attention. Doubt, fear, criticism, temptation. But focus isn't about ignoring pain. It's about prioritizing purpose. You remind yourself why you started, what you're building, and who you're becoming. You stay centered in the storm because your eyes are fixed on the outcome, not the obstacle. You don't need more opportunities. You need more focus. Focus. Because when your focus is sharp, even small opportunities become massive wins. Focus turns ordinary days into defining moments. It turns small steps into quantum leaps. It turns frustration into fuel. Wow. Your focus is your fight, and your fight is your future. Your consistency beats resistance. Most people think success belongs to the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented, but in reality, it belongs to the most consistent. Consistency is the invisible force that builds momentum when motivation fades. Everyone can show up when they feel inspired, but true power shows up when you move forward, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency isn't glamorous, it's repetitive, it's uncomfortable, it's quiet, but it's also where transformation happens. The ones who win aren't the ones who sprint once. They're the ones who take steady steps every single day, even through frustration, failure, and fatigue. Because resistance only wins when you quit showing up. Resistance isn't your enemy, it's your measurement. It shows up to test whether your commitment is real or conditional. Anyone can stay focused when things flow smoothly, But consistency is proven when things get messy. Life will always try to distract you, delay you, or discourage you. Resistance will whisper that your effort isn't working, that your dream is too far, that maybe you're wasting time. But the truth is, the moment you stay consistent despite resistance, you're training your mind to outlast temporary discomfort. Every repetition strengthens your resilience. Every small effort compounds into a result that once seemed impossible. Consistency is the bridge between intention and execution. Most people wait for motivation to act, not realizing motivation follows movement. You don't feel inspired to act, you act your way into inspiration. When you make a habit of showing up, even on the days you don't feel ready, you begin to train your mind to follow discipline, not emotion. Emotions fluctuate, commitment doesn't. The reason some people rise while others remain stuck isn't talent, it's endurance. The consistent person wins because they outlast the one who stops halfway. You don't need massive leaps every day. You need meaningful repetition. Consistency compounds quietly, but it pays loudly. There's power in small, repeated effort. Every day you show up, even when no one's watching, you're making deposits into your future. It may not look like progress, but over time, those invisible deposits create visible rewards. Most people give up too early because they mistake silence for stagnation. Just because it's not happening fast doesn't mean it's not happening at all. Growth takes time, and consistency gives it structure. The seed doesn't sprout the day it's planted. It sprouts after consistent nurturing. You are no different. Keep watering your goals with effort, keep feeding your dream with patience, and eventually the harvest will reveal itself. Resistance shows up most when you're closest to breakthrough. It's like a final exam before elevation. The moment you decide to be consistent, distractions multiply, excuses grow louder, and obstacles appear larger. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. The resistance isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to verify how bad you want it. Most people retreat when things get difficult, not realizing that discomfort is part of the process. The muscle doesn't grow without pressure, and purpose doesn't expand without resistance. Consistency is what converts pressure into progress. Every time you push through, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you were yesterday. The challenge is that consistency feels slow. It doesn't give you instant feedback or quick results. It demands faith in the process when the progress isn't visible. That's why so few people master it. They chase excitement instead of excellence. They start projects with passion and abandon them when the emotion fades. But consistency doesn't chase excitement. It builds endurance. The longer you stay in motion, the easier it becomes to stay disciplined. What once required effort becomes instinct. That's how champions are made. Not through big moments, but through daily mastery. All right? When you stay consistent, you create momentum, and momentum creates miracles. Momentum is the compound interest of effort. Once it builds, it works for you, even when you rest. But momentum only belongs to those who refuse to stop. You can't build momentum if you keep starting over. Every time you quit, you reset your progress. Every time you stay consistent, you multiply it. That's why you must commit to consistency even when results don't show up immediately. Because progress happens gradually, then suddenly. The world will call it luck, but you'll know it was discipline disguised as time. Consistency is also the cure for doubt. Every time you show up, you silence the voice that says you can't. Doubt can't survive in the presence of evidence, and consistency creates evidence. It's proof that you're serious, that you're capable, that you're moving. You don't need to convince anyone with words when your actions speak daily. You don't need to announce your plans when your consistency makes them undeniable. Docker.